Welcome back to another episode of Love, Life, and Legacy, the podcast dedicated to helping you navigate these hypersexualized times of ours. And in today's episode, it's sponsored by my kitchen and a little kid over there. We're talking about running away. Do not run away. I'm in a new environment here because there's construction next to me, but we can't stop, won't stop. The idea of running away is we all do it in different degrees, at different times, in different ways. And it's a form of not being able to handle life. And so in this episode, Benji and I unpack kind of the feelings that predicate the desire to want to run away, looking at how you might run away, and then how you can prevent that whole process from happening by facing life and dealing with it, and the benefits of that, because life is beckoning, it's calling to you. It's just, will you answer it? Even if it has something that you don't want to hear, will you still answer? And will you have that conversation with life and resolve whatever is coming up? Or will you run away and kick the can down the road? So thank you, everybody. It's weird. I'm looking at myself and I'm seeing my kitchen in the background. Got a lot of bottles here. Anyway, let's get into it. Welcome back, everybody.
Howdy, folks. Welcome.
Today I'm recording from my kitchen because there's a cement mixer right outside, and this is the room furthest away from the cement mixer. On Christmas Day, we got a knock on our door, and it was the guy who just apparently bought the house next to us. And where we are, the houses are smushed together. They're connected. Yeah. And he said, starting tomorrow, we're going to break down that house and rebuild another 3-story house next to you.
Jeez, man.
So
sounds like
it's
you
loud.
have nowhere to run, nowhere to hide, Andrew.
Well, if you can still hear it, then that's true. And if not, then apparently the kitchen is where I run and hide.
There you go.
Be careful. There's a lot of good snacks here. How's Benji? If you sound a little sick, bud, you all right?
Do I sound sick? Man.
Are you?
I was trying to play it off like I'm good. I just have a cool German accent. Yeah, das ist gut. Every morning this week I've woken up and I said to my kids, Guten Morgen. Yeah, das ist gut. Guten Morgen.
That's crazy. I said
And
good Morgen to my son this morning.
Oh, really?
What is that? Yeah, that's weird.
It's fun.
What's going on? Andy's influencing us.
Yeah, that's it. Resident German. No, but I'm good. I'm feeling it. Ready to go.
Just by the way, fun fact for anybody out there, Germany's kind of taking over High Noon. We have Andy, now we have Daria and Sebastian for High Noon couples, and we have Amelia, who's American, living in Germany, but I feel like when I talk to her, she's now more internally German than she's American.
Right. Yeah.
So, anyway, look out for that. Some fun German stuff coming out for you this year. Today, everybody, we're going to talk about running away. It's something that we all do, and we actually allude to quite a bit in our education. This idea of, I don't know if you can hear that. That's super loud. Oh, my God.
Not at all.
Good God. This idea of, I swear to God, that's not my butt. That is next door. Can't run away. It's a good theme. So we all want to run away, and we do in microdose running away. Like scrolling is a form of running away. Mm-hmm. But I really want to look at what is running away constructed of? What is it made up of? What are the components of running away? Because there's some emotional components for sure. There's the external form of running away. But then there's the whole idea of like, what if you built yourself a life where you couldn't run away, where it wasn't really an option? And the reason why this is so very near and dear to me is because my wife and I just went through 2 rounds of like growth. And they were kind of intense, meaning like we were fighting and it just came up out of nowhere. And then on the other side of that, so much feeling of closeness between us and like familiarity. And it's like we were just working through something that needed to be liberated from our relationship. But not this past one. Actually, both of them. Mm-hmm. The last one was actually we were in Thailand. We had to go on a visa run, and we decided to go to Thailand. It was close, and we stayed there for like a week. And in that time, we just fought. It was weird. It was kind of anyway, long story. But there's one night in particular where I was just so angry. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't do anything. And I was just like, I just want to just go somewhere and do something. And I was like, oh, yeah, I can't because I don't. I was like, my life isn't set up for that. I'm not going to go out drinking at some bar by myself. I'm not going to go do some weird, scandalous sex stuff like that. That's just not a possibility for me because my life has been built. I mean, we're talking about construction next door. It's like I've built my life to not be able to run away like that, right? And although it's a burden in the time, at that moment when you're being a big baby and you want to run away, it's really inconvenient to that little baby self inside of yourself. It's like, I'm sick of this. I need a nap, or I want to, But in reality, it saved me so much pain because when you do have these options to run away, right? If those doors are still unlocked and available to you, then you're always you're always aware of it. You always know it's there. It's like an option. You know what I mean? Running away is an option. And for me, it's just not. Even worst case, like I can't, there's only a certain level of fighting that we can do before I realize that this is destroying our marriage, and the marriage is so important to me, so then I can't fight as much as I want, and I got to reel it in because I got to protect this marriage thing. So it's like, based on the things that you want in life, you built your house of a life based on that model, that blueprint, and then it makes the other things non-optional. Does that make sense? Like, there's just, you can't do certain things because it's just like not even available in your mind and your heart, and it just doesn't work.
Okay, so, yeah, well, I'm trying to understand. So it is an option, but it's not. Like, can you define that a bit?
Yeah, I would say that everybody listening, I think we know our audience pretty well, as angry as you could get at another human being, killing somebody is not an option. It's just not even the realm of possibility because it's so far away from what you could do as a person, right? And so that's just like, that's like, I would say most of society, we would never go there, right? Mm-hmm. But somehow we're okay with enslaving other people for sexual purposes through porn, through like human trafficking, all like this web of disgust that is the internet pornography scene, right? And that's only because you haven't done the work to fully separate yourself from it. Once you're outside of it, it is not an option. I'll use porn as an example. Even at my most frustrated, even at my babyish, like when I'm max baby, super baby, can't deal with life, want to run away, porn is not even an iota of a possibility because that door is closed, it's locked, it's triple locked. I can't, even if I knocked on, there's no way. It's like, it's not an option. It's not a part of my life. It's not a part of my identity. So I can't go back there. That's the work that alcoholics have to do, or anybody who's addicted, is if it's ever a possibility, then it's a very likely possibility. If you cease to let it even enter your life on any remote level, no give and take, okay, we can talk principle, zero give and take, then there's nowhere that you can throw that energy. You have to deal with it. You have to sit with it, right? Does that make more sense?
Yeah. Yeah, I understand the concept. So, I mean, let's go back to murder or porn. Like, murder is still an option, right? Like, it's an option for everyone, but it's not. Does that make sense? And so that's what I'm trying to like distinguish the definition. And I'm with you, by the way. It's
just like, it's not something usually that would even cross your mind. And then if it did, you wouldn't entertain it because the thought is so scary and disgusting to you. right? It's like, oh my God.
It's not
But
an entertained reality or possibility.
unless there's a madness that overtakes society, and then you're, let's say, in war, right? Because again, I'm here in Vietnam. This is ground zero. I'm in Da Nang, which is ground zero for where all the American troops were dropped off. This is where they started their journey of one of the most gruesome documented wars, right? Where just they're doing all sorts of horrible stuff. There's a madness that overtook that part of society, that segment of society. Young men dropped off in Vietnam. A lot of them just went crazy. They couldn't handle it. They have all sorts of stress. And then all of a sudden murder became a possibility, right? And same with, if you think about it in terms of porn, there's still a madness that exists collectively that we haven't separated from. So it makes it still a temptation for some people. Because collectively we haven't separated from porn. It still is like there. So a lot of people are still caught up in that madness. But you can separate yourself from, I believe you have, I have. We've separated ourselves from the madness. So it's like I exist in a realm outside of porn. Like no matter what anybody says, I know it's not a good idea in my bones. So it's not a possibility because my bones won't move in that direction.
Right.
It's not an idea in my head. It's not a fleeting feeling in my heart. It's like it's in my DNA that I know this stuff is true. I know what porn does, and it's not a possibility.
Right. Well, I'm trying to kind of have a more clear line to define for folks, because it's like everything's an option. You know what I'm saying? Like if we really want to eliminate options, then we just, go monk mode or something like that, something extreme to just eliminate all access to stuff. And I guess that's an extreme way of putting it, but an unhealthy way of dealing with the problem. But how do you transition from, you know what I'm saying, transition from it's an option and I entertain the idea to it's still an option, it's still always there, but it's not something is in any remote possibility in my mind.
It's a matter of identity. It has to be a part of your identity of who you are. That it would be an affront. It would be a deep, grave offense to yourself if you participate in that behavior. Everybody has that for something, right? Like I said, the easy one for our audience would be murder. It's like, it just doesn't exist in our collective. Like I've seen some fights. I was a pastor once in Maryland, and there's some guy we knew he wanted to cause trouble. He showed up at Sunday service just specifically to cause trouble. I asked the biggest guy in our community. His last name rhymes with Erish. It's the father Erish with a P. He's like 6'7" or something, massive. He just picked the guy up and took him out. Right? He just physically removed him. But at no point on anybody's mind was like, oh, wow, this could escalate into people shooting each other in the head. It was just like part of civil society. It's like, okay, we could say some nasty stuff, whatever, but it's not gonna turn into murder. Okay? Because in nobody's mind was that a possibility because of it's part of our identity that this is a grave crime. So with pornography, let's go back to porn. It's like a lot of people kind of know that they kind of don't want to watch porn, that it does something kind of that they don't like, but it's all in the kind of realm. It's not absolute. It's not a deep offense to their very soul. It's not something that makes them want to vomit, right? Because if it did, then. But if you build a strong enough case, first it starts with like building a case for is porn really that bad, and if so, on what level? You have to. This is what I say about faith. It's the same thing. It's like you don't have a faith until you've really wrestled with your faith, until you've allowed yourself to be fully wrong many times and fought for it, and we all have insecurities with our faith. There's like these unknowns. Unless you've made peace with that in some way by either just filling that with absolute faith or by working through it and realize that it was just you just didn't understand your faith, right? Same with porn. Is like you have to put in that legwork of deeply understanding what you believe about this, and starts with a little bit, thinking in the realm of the brain, thinking. And then it transitions to when something really becomes offensive to you, it's on an emotional level. Like when you realize how many women, I would say 100% of women, are in porn because of dysfunction, either deep trauma because they were abused themselves, because they're presently being trafficked, or because of some latent, some other stuff that they just haven't dealt with. Yep. As much as they have bravado about it in the moment and they say, look, this is me, I accept my life. That's always the case. There've been studies like as soon as they are retired or aged out of porn, then they start to admit that, yeah, they just had to find a way to make it okay in their head, right? But if you really look at the emotional, relational, like the people, and you find a way to relate to them, and they don't want to do this, and you can see that they're trapped, and you're trapping them every time you watch them and participate them, something like that, and you feel it, then it starts to become an emotional thing. And if you have an emotional relationship with something for long enough, it just becomes a part of who you are, right? You don't have to force yourself to love your wife. It's a part of who you are. It's a part of your commitment. It's a part of your identity as Benji. You're not the kind of guy that would just go become Don Quixote. No, that's the wrong guy. Don Juan, and start sleeping around. It's like such an affront to the identity that you first built based on faith in your mind, feelings in your heart, and then it just becomes in your bones. It's who you are. It's your identity. And until that happens, it's always an option. It's always an option.
Yeah, it's interesting. When you're saying that, I was thinking a lot about just the fatherless epidemic in our world.
Yeah.
In many cultures. I won't say in America in particular, but I'm more privy to that reality right now. And I was thinking about, like, that's never been an option for me to leave my kids, you know? And for you as well. It's like, I assume, right? Don't wanna make
no, I'm here with you, buddy. Yeah, I swear to God.
Here. But there's definitely the feeling sometimes, like, I don't want to be at this moment. You know, let me clarify. Like, there's some moments where I'm just like, I don't want to be here.
I can't handle this.
Whatever that means. Whether that means I just go to my room or I go on a vacation. Like, I've never even done that. Like just got up and left. You know, in an emotional, like, outrageous way. It's just never been part of my reality. It's like, I'm just not somebody that does that. It's like, I will be frustrated and I will deal with it. I'll go through that tunnel and I'll figure out how to grow from that experience. And the same with, you know, being a husband. Because I kind of talked with a lot of couples over the years, I've talked with several couples that, you know, because of the blessing and their kind of spiritual and eternal bind together, they've had this background noise of like, oh, I'm stuck in this relationship because I can't break the blessing. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And on the flip side, I actually think that's like a different, you know, side of this. Is it's a very disempowering way to live, is to say I have no options, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of like double-edged sword in a sense. And every time I heard that, I was like, what do you mean you can't leave? Like, of course you can. You know what I'm saying? Like, we all have free will, but you choose to be here. You choose to be part of this relationship, and that's your life, and that's your responsibility, and God will support that. And so to me, and speaking for myself, like, it's actually very empowering for me to know that I do have free will, you know, and there are options, but I don't entertain them. Like, I don't want to be that man. Like, I don't want to be that person. Yeah.
I gotta say that is love, though. Like, our understanding of the Creator is that, in a sense, and it's in the Bible, this is part of principle, right, is that God actually lamented for a moment creating humanity, right? This idea of like, oh my God, what have I done? These guys are idiots. They've completely gone off course. And like, so my understanding is like Noah, the flood, was just like, you know, this terrible moment where it's just like pressing the reset button, right? But then after that, this decision that will never happen again. And this determination that Heavenly Parent, God, will 100% live up to her commitment, right? to love us and to create the original plan. And that's what it's also like as a parent, is like you can't ever unparent yourself. You can't stop being a parent. Once you're a parent, you're a permanent parent. And sometimes it's very difficult, right? But that's kind of love, is it comes with the good and the bad. And if your commitment is true and absolute, then even when you do have those baby moments and you're like, I wish I could just leave, I'm so stuck. I think we all have that deep down inside of us. It's our most immature, and that's what I'm talking about in terms of running away. The feeling is, let's describe this a little bit. Well, let's say you're feeling really stuck in your marriage, or you're having a really bad day as a parent. There is a feeling like, this is too much. I can't handle this. I didn't sign up for this. Benji, you got anything? What?
I don't want to be here.
I don't want to be here. And that could be on a very deep level, like, I don't want it to exist anymore. I've made a mistake. If you've ever watched It's a Wonderful Life, I've watched that a few times in my life, but it wasn't like one of the movies we grew up with. But this year I watched it, and at the end of the movie I said, this is the best movie that was ever written. I fully believe that they captured the essence of a man who feels that exact thing, is like, it would be better for me simply to not exist. I'm more valuable dead than alive. That's what he says. Because his insurance plan, if he dies, his family will gain benefit, and he might go to jail and all this stuff. And like, when he starts yelling at his kids, Benji, watch this movie again if you ever can. I was crying so much, and my wife, I think you and I are the same. I get emotional on things that she has no idea is even a possibility to get emotional on. I'm like sitting there crying because like I know what George is feeling in that moment when he's yelling at his kids. He's telling his kid to shut up on the piano. How many times do you have to practice that stupid song, right? And she's just practicing this beautiful Christmas song. And he can't handle it because he didn't process his emotions. He brings that home. Now he's screaming at his family, and now he feels even worse because now I've just gone against the man that I want to be. I didn't get married and have kids to yell at them. But that feeling of like, I hate myself. I hate my life. I love the people in it, but I also hate them because I failed them and they're a reflection of my failure. These are very deep cutting emotions. And they're too much to handle in the moment. Like a house, if there's too much electricity running in a house, it short circuits. It just stops because it just says, nope, too much, time out, right? And you have to go and turn the electricity back on. It shorts. We do the same thing emotionally. If we cannot handle and process like all this stuff coming our way, we just short. Meaning like we just like, I can't handle this. And as adults, that's when you start numbing yourself. Kids just literally shut down. I saw it happen this week. A little kid couldn't handle the situation around them, and they just went like this. And they couldn't process what was going on around them. Just like shutting down, can't talk, nothing. But adults have to still somehow function, so they typically don't just fully shut down, but they start numbing themselves, right? They start scrolling. Right? And that's running away. The feeling is, this is too much. I can't handle this. And the action is scrolling. It's okay. I just need one drink. It's, I don't know, some raging. You have anger stuff, yeah?
Nope.
Didn't you say you punched the wall once? You punched a hole through a wall?
I was a teenager, yeah.
Yeah, okay. We'll make a poster of that and we'll just make that true forever.
Even my wife has done that when she was a teen.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm scared of her.
You know those Japanese paper walls?
Yeah. I mean, you could sneeze through those walls. That's not... Oh, okay.
Oh, man. Today, Ira, we got snow here. It was a winter snowstorm in North Carolina, which is like literally a quarter of an inch, like nothing. All the news was raging, and then it snowed overnight, and so there was ice on our car outside, right? And then I see Ira and Kojin going outside with hammers to break ice like outside because they like playing with that. And I say, Koji, I tell Koji, I was like, Koji, like, don't hit the car with the hammer. Don't try to break the ice with the hammer on the car because you might. And he's like, I'm not stupid. Like he says, why do you think I'm not stupid, right?
Hey guys, this is a quick sponsorship for our main program, Ascend. We get to do sponsorships, right? We're a nonprofit. We don't do any advertising, but our free program, Ascend, is just for you guys and gals who want to have sexual integrity. You're tired of the porn and masturbation cycle and you want to break free from these shadows and this shame. So join us at highnoon.org to join the sexual integrity program called Ascend. We have groups, we have mentors, we have everything you need to succeed. All right? Join us at highnoon.org and I'll see you on the inside.
And I didn't say to Ira because I assumed she's the angel in her. Like, she's not going to do that. It turns out she went whacking away at the car hood with the hammer, trying to break the ice. And then it's just like scratches all over the front of the car. And yeah, and I just laughed like hysterically with her. I was like, she felt kind of bad, right? And kind of shocked.
Kind of bad.
I was just laughing really hard. Like, I mean, maybe I was a little at the beginning like, oh man, I wish it, but it's like, that's my fault, you know. I assumed she wasn't gonna do it, and she's 8 years old too. She's not a little kid, and I just thought it was so shocking that she would do so, or surprising, but really funny because it's completely uncharacteristic for her. So that's a moment that could have went really south today.
Yeah, I was just gonna say if you are already stacking so many negative emotions and bad experiences on top of that, then you are freaking out. You are like vein on your forehead, eye twitching, rage, angry, punching holes through walls.
Maybe if it was COVID, I would have grabbed that hammer, just like, I'll show you breaking ice. But it was just Ira just sitting there, like very lightly smashing the car hood. I was laughing. I think it's so cute. So
wow, funny. I think we have a different definition of cute.
Innocent, so innocent.
I think you're more pure than me.
So innocent.
Yeah. Well, so I mean that's a great example. Like the same instance happening to a different version of you yields different results. When you are taking care of yourself, and you're even sick, right? But you're taking care of yourself, then when these instances come up, you can process them and you don't need to run away. You can deal with them. You say, okay, this is happening. You breathe it in. You talk about it. You realize you laugh it off. You kind of move on. That's what a mature person does. This is really just about levels of maturity. It's not good or bad. It's not like evil and saintly. It's just practicing certain things, right? And so if you're in the practice of starting your day by relaxing yourself, by meditating, prayer, envisioning the person that you want to be, focusing on your North Star goal, building your day on that, you're already on the offense. You're attacking the day. You are moving forward with conviction. And when these things pop up, they impact you less. I've noticed the stickiness of life drastically decreases when you meditate. Things don't stick to you. Like people's negativity, fights, they don't linger. It's just like, oh, that happened. And then you keep on moving on. If you're not taking care of your spirit and your heart in particular, they stick to you and you start to obsess about them. You make meaning over things. Somebody sends you a text and then all of a sudden you're like, why did they say that? They could have said this. And then it's like stuck on you and it's so hard to get it off. And so, yeah, it's like putting some like coconut oil all over your soul and it just, nothing can stick to you. So it starts with that, right? Is you don't want to run away from a life that you've custom built. It's a very big difference. So Benji, like, if you had an old junker car that you hated anyway, and then your daughter just trashed it with a chainsaw or whatever she's working on that day, you'd be like, forget about it. And you let it go. You say, you're looking for an excuse to get a new car. That's some people's lives. It's like they're looking for an excuse to run away because it's already a mess. But if you have a custom car, I mean, in this instance, it's a car, right? You see these in Colorado, it's a big deal. On Sundays, these guys with collectors' cars, old Chevys and old, Mustangs and all that, they all meet up in parks and stare at each other's cars. It's adorable because they're like, in their 60s and 70s, and they're like, oh, what kind of engine you got there? And it's just like, it's like the human version of dogs sniffing each other's butts. It's just kind of like checking each other out. I'm like, what you got, right? But when you have a custom car, you really take care of it. You really love it because you've invested, especially if you've rebuilt it and stuff like that. And same with our life is like when you have a life that you've constructed carefully and intentionally, you don't want to throw it away. You'll salvage it. Don't mind that noise. It's not me. You'll salvage it, you'll save it, you'll protect it, you'll fix it, you'll do what it takes to get it back on the road because you care about it that much more. You've invested in it. That's the principle, is the more you invest your heart into something, the more it is beautiful to you. And if your life is something that you've invested your heart into, you will not want to run away as often. So the idea is you need to look at the areas in your life where you do tend to run away from, and you need to invest more love into that area. And you'll be more likely to proactively work on it so it stops acting out as much. Your life starts to fall apart in areas where you haven't been taking care of it. Benji, I'm sure you know parents who have kids who are absolutely running amok. Even at a young age, they're completely out of control. And those kids are looking for discipline. They're looking for somebody to say, hey, scold me something, right? They're like even getting into trouble on purpose to see how far can I go. Yeah. And that's our life too. There's areas of our life that try to see how far it can take us down this realm of darkness before we'll just stand up for ourselves and be like, that's not cool. I'm going to work on that. And running away lets that area of your life get even more out of control. Confronting it, being proactive, right? So if it's phone use, what would you suggest? What's a way to like really proactively get ahead of phone use? How can people kind of like reel that in and be proactive instead of reactive?
I think I like what you said about the more you love something, invest in it, the more that it'll, be in your favor. It'll be utilized in your favor, become precious to you. And so I think for phone use, I really like the example of meditation because it's like if you meditate, the night before, the day, or the morning of, you're making a kind of preemptive investment into that day, which I didn't, really put together until now. And it's like you're setting your whole day up actually for success because you're investing that energy into making this a good day. So it's like you're investing the uploading work. And so it had better be a good day because you've invested so much already. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
And so I think with phone use, it's the same. It's just that the magic word, like just being intentional about I'm using my phone like this. And if that means buying software, I buy software for my phone and computer to block websites, actually, like Facebook, Instagram, YouTube.
I thought you meant software like beauty filters. Jokes.
No, I buy software to block distraction, like focus-oriented software. It's an investment, and so I'll use it, and so it makes me more productive, and I enjoy my phone. Or I have a better relationship with my phone now because I've uploaded that investment, right? So I think just finding ways that we can put energy, time, money, even into our phone use, our time, our day, just to make sure that it has our attention. And there's no way, like, for example, here's an example. If you spend, $50 for an annual subscription on a software, you're going to use it, right? It's like, you're not going to use it. And that's why I think like porn blocking software is actually pretty underrated, because if you fork up like $150 or however much Covenant Eyes is for a whole year, right? It's like, you're going to use it and you're going to make the most of your money. So it's kind of like a cheat code to fast tracking success. It's just like, I'm going to invest in something, and money is just a clear way of investing in something, right? And this is when I sell you guys something that I'm selling, but fortunately we're not profit for you guys.
We could create, if you guys want software, we can make it. We were looking into that, but point understood is, I mean, that's part of the proactive thing is like Looking, I mean, we give advice of look at your phone and look at all the apps. How are they organized? You need to reorganize all of your apps so you disorient yourself, so you can't subconsciously just go to that app anymore. Now you're actually thinking, and that gives you time to react and say, wait, I can't find it. Oh yeah, that's right. I don't want to be there. But then also just start deleting a bunch of apps that are not serving you. Look at each app individually and be like, is this serving me or is it stealing my time and energy? And if it's just to have an honest conversation with yourself, it's actually pretty intuitive and you can decide pretty quickly. Is this stealing or giving? And then you just delete the ones that are stealing. And that's already intentional. That's like stage 1. Stage 2 is like setting up your life. Today, how much do I want to use my phone? What do I want to use it for? How can my phone serve me at the highest level? That's what it's there for. AI, all this stuff is specifically there to serve us as a human race, not to steal from us. But we don't know how to do that yet. We're still so used to just donating all of our time to Facebook and Instagram and all these things, and they're just used to it. So yeah, when you start to be much more intentional and plan your days, this is what a North Star goal is, guys. My wife and I just started doing this thing every day where we're just spending about a minute or two together in silence, just feeling Chanel-guk. Like, what does it look like? What does it feel like? What are we doing? And it's a lot of answers are coming to me. Like, I can really see what leadership looks like, and is very opposite to, it's much more in the supportive role of like when the good ideas are on the field and leadership is supposed to just lift those ideas up, not have the ideas. That's kind of completely backwards. That's how a body works, right? So yeah, this idea of like, of us spending time, like I started my day like that, about an hour ago or so. And I just felt so good. And like, oh, based on that, that's how I want to construct my day, is to be more like that. I'm living into my Chanel-guk self. That's what the essence of a North Star goal is, okay? So when you start doing that, then you start, okay, how do I want to feel? Who do I want to be? And then you start figuring out the details of like, okay, well then how much do I use my phone and for what? And when you start constructing your day like that, even when you experience difficulty, you know where you're going. Like if you're in a rush to get to a very important meeting and somebody gets in your way, you'll still have to deal with it, but you still know where you need to go, right? If you have nowhere to go and you get into a fight with somebody, then you just stay and you fight with them and you have nothing else to do. And that just sticks with you all day. You have nothing else to do, right? So that's life, is like, oh, I had a really rough afternoon, and then that ruins your whole day. It's because you had nowhere else to go that was more important than that instance, right? Oh, I got in a fight. So the fight becomes the entire center of your universe instead of something more important than that fight. You still have to deal with whatever that fight was, but you still have more important things to do than just focus on that fight. I still got to get up. And that's why parenting is such a gift, right? No matter how much Benji and I fight behind the scenes and he calls me a carrot head or whatever, I still have to wake up the next day and serve my family, right? Luckily, we don't have any drama like that in High Noon. But, no matter what's going on in High Noon, we still have to come home and like be parents. And it's like, it's an opportunity to strive for more even when times are tough. And so if you are single, then it's like having somewhere you want to be in life doesn't prevent difficult moments from happening, but it gives you the opportunity to not think that those are so important, that you still have something else to do with your time and energy other than focusing on this negativity. That's what a North Star goal is.
Yeah, and there will be times that are just really hard, really rough. I think for me, the hardest times are when I'm just sick. Doesn't happen often nowadays. Every few times a year, but the last week I was sick. I've been sick for like the last 5 days. Just can't speak.
He's a big baby.
Fever.
Shows up at meetings like this.
That's all I wanted to say, is how difficult my life is. Thank you. End of my point, Andrew. No, it's like, my point is that my life is so hard, and y'all should feel sorry for me. No, it's that like those times are really hard. Is the last thing I was making a mental note of this. I was observing myself quite a lot while I was sick. And the thing I observed a lot was the last thing I want to do is meditate. The last thing I want to do is talk to someone. The last thing I want to do is journal. The last thing I want to do is go on a walk. Everything that's good for me, I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
And so what happens is that you like do nothing and then just kind of think negatively, which then siphons the energy that I want to put on other places in creating a good day for myself. And then just kind of spirals into like, oh, well, I'm a bad dad because I'm lying in bed and my kids are downstairs. And it was like this constant back and forth this whole week between like, oh, I should go help, Hitue and take care of the kids, but I'm sick, but I need to rest, but I shouldn't, like this kind of back and forth. It's really hard. And I'm just saying, it's like, I get it. It can be challenging sometimes. I just, two guys I talked to recently in the high noon world, had their matchings not work out right before they were dedicated to going to the blessing this year. Their matchings fell through and they're devastated by this stuff,
Yeah.
And it's really hard. And I mean, thank God for them. They reached out to me and they were like, hey, I'm really struggling. I'm depressed or whatever. It's hard. It takes a lot of just to do that kind of stuff. Yeah.
It's a great point. I mean, that's part of the running away, right? It's so easy especially when you have an image of something that you want and then it all falls apart. That's the moment where it's very easy to start saying, well, I tried, so now what's the point? And then you just start throwing yourself a pity party. And then while you're down in the muck, you just rub your face in the mud and cover yourself in it and say, this is who I am, right? It's very easy. That's how depression spreads. But again, that's a form of running away. It's like you're running away from the person that you want to be. And so, again, running away, good to identify how you run away individually. So you, dear listener, how do you run away? And when do you run away? What are the emotions that elicit the feeling of wanting to escape? So is it self-hatred? Is it just confusion or overwhelm, stress, anxiety? I mean, these are very common things in our society. And I would say for the most part, the answers that I've been seeing are largely deficient, devoid of meaning. It's like, you listen to Andrew Tate or Dave Goggins and you just sit up your way through the pain. Or Andrew Tate is just like, just exploit women. It'll make all the pain go away, right? Very, I think ultimately destructive. Because it's funny with somebody like Dave Goggins, who's all about discipline, he literally runs away from his problems every day. All he does is physically run all day, every day. And it's like, well, maybe there's other dimensions to life. Maybe sitting is the new running. Sitting and like feeling.
It's the new discipline.
It's really hard to sit and meditate, man. Holy moly. In many ways, it's a lot easier to go to the gym than it is to sit for the same amount of time and focus on how you feel. And so it needs to be a multifaceted approach, but anything that you try to solve for needs to be based on an understanding of the problem. So the problem is running away. That is clearly a problem. But why do you run away? What emotions cause you to run away? And how do you run away? So what ways, which ways do you run? Like, is it, obviously everybody does phone to some extent. A lot of people do porn to some extent. Some people use food to some extent. Some people, alcohol. Some people, there's many different things. Find what causes you to run away and how do you run away? And then,
I'll just add something there. Some people it's anger, blaming other people. Sometimes it's pointing fingers.
Oh man,
we point fingers at ourselves.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's shutting down, giving a cold shoulder, just being cold.
It's very easy to blame the things that you think are causing your pain. So let's talk about the blessing, right? The blessing has been a doozy for some people. And so they blame the blessing, or they blame their parents for making them get blessed, or they blame the church. That's an easy one. There's so many people in this world who hate our church. But I've had good experiences and I've had a lot of bad experiences, but I within our movement, within leadership or whatever, I've experienced some tremendously appalling leadership, when I joined in this kind of group and all this stuff. But ultimately it saves my life. And so it is what you make of it, right? And to just blame or to just accept and say it's all good, it's all bad that's like baby stuff, Babies are black and white, good or bad. That's how you have to see life as a child. But as you grow up, you're supposed to see the nuance, all the in-betweens, and it's emotionally taxing. But if you take the time, you can start to customize your life. So that's the thing, okay? I guess if you customize your life by figuring out who you want to be and how you want to exist, meaning you construct your days, how do I want to live today? It gives you a sense of purpose, especially if it's connected to something bigger than just that day, like a sense of mission. If you're in school, to really be in school and do that. Or if you have a job, to really invest in that. Or if you want to build relationships or you want to learn some new skill, fully invest in that. And then you construct your days in order to optimize that. And then when these other instances come up, these feelings of I'm not good enough or whatever, you deal with them. You don't run away. You talk about them with your groups. That's why we have these high-end groups. You talk about them with your mentor. That's why we have mentors. You talk about them with your parents if you can, or with your spouse if you're married. This is the value of other people. These limitations will always be there. It's having somewhere to go that allows those limitations to show themselves to you. They're always there. Like, just because some guy yelled at you, that's not the reason why you feel bad about yourself. You always kind of feel bad about yourself. That person yelling at you just allowed you to feel it, right? And so it's an opportunity for growth, actually, right? But you won't experience your limitations unless you have somewhere to go. Like, you don't know how big an island is until you explore that island. Yeah. Mm-hmm. You just think, the island's just like, I don't know, 8 feet by 8 feet, but actually it's huge. You just haven't explored it. But when you do see the limitation, that's like, okay, that's always been there. I just am now realizing it. And you can get past that. You can get a boat and go on to a bigger island.
Yeah. I like the idea of taking day at a time. I think people like me, it's really helpful to just make tomorrow the best day ever and then take one day at a time. Because I think the nature of humans is that we want permanence, in the sense that we want things to be forever. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want to buy a house because I can own it so that I can live somewhere forever. Like, that's a lot of people's thinking. Or I want to, just have children so that I can live forever. And so the idea of there's kind of always a subconscious, subtle feeling of when I find the secret sauce or the magic bullet, then my life will be better and happy. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've even had people ask me this at times, like, when will I be happy in this journey of sexual integrity, porn recovery? When will I be happy? You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And the question is really close to me because I've battled with that a lot, very subconsciously, until I observed it and I pinpointed it. I was like, I'm doing this thing where I'm trying to find a magic bullet that will make me happy forever. When in reality, it's just making this moment or this day at the very, longest is like this day is going to be the best day ever. And then you just put more and more of those days together. And then that's a good life. You know what I'm saying?
That's exactly
because then it's not, that's actually very empowering for me to feel. And even as we're recording this, I haven't, done any of my North Star stuff this last week or meditation. And I've really noticed it taking a toll on my happiness and enjoyment this whole week. I just am not present. Like you're saying, I am more frustrated, more contempt towards myself and towards other people. And when you're talking about this, just make tomorrow the best day ever. I'm just like, okay, I'm going to meditate tonight, and I'm just going to make tomorrow exactly the day that I want to be.
Yeah.
I'm going to be exactly who I want to be tomorrow. Right? And that's it. That's that really seems, because then it's anybody can be experiencing Chanoguk, no matter how old or young or single or not single, or divorced you are. Does that make that's super empowering stuff right there. That's incredible. And because we have I'm still in university, I don't have a job yet, I don't make money. It's well, then be someone that is poor and super successful and happy. And lives in Chanoguk.
Yeah, that's it. That's the original premise of the North Star Goal. Before the North Star Goal, This was just an experiment that I ran in my own life of just like, what does one perfect day feel like? And I did a condition. Again, I love these conditions. That was a 21-day condition. And within the second week of that condition, I felt it. And then I was like, wait, what now? And then I tried to recreate it, and I realized you can't recreate the same day, but you can recreate the same good feelings of a new day. And it was just like, there's nothing special that happened that day at all. I just felt really, I don't want to say good, that seems cheap, but I just felt really at home in my life. Like, this is my life. Mm-hmm. Yeah, these are my kids. This is my family. This is me. This is what I look like. This is how tall I am. This is like, and I just looked around and I accepted, and then I started to appreciate and have gratitude for the things that are. And then I had a work day. It was a work day, you know? And I was just, I would say utterly blissful all day. And it was just a mundane, everyday day. And I was like, oh man, I really want to run this more. When you prepare for that, how's this day going to be great? And that's what you're looking for. Your eyes are looking for, how's today wonderful? What challenges do you have for me? I want to grow. What things can I appreciate? Then that's what your conscious and unconscious mind starts sifting for. It's like a radar. And be like, oh, that person's amazing. Oh, I'm so lucky, right? And they ran this experiment that, like, you know, if they put money in the path of like people randomly, the people who are more focused on gratitude will see the money, and the people who are focused on other stuff, they just don't see it. They don't see the opportunity right in front of their face. Equal opportunity, just one person has the eyes to see it, the others don't. And that's obviously money, but like, think about the blessing. Think about, you know, just moments of reconciliation. Like, there's chances to meet cool people every single day. We just are not open to it because we're in our head thinking about this or that. And we're giving off some very weird vibes when we go to the grocery store or whatever. We're thinking about ourselves instead of being like, wow, like, what does the world have to offer? And then you talk to a clerk, you know, at wherever, Wendy's or Trader Joe's or wherever you people go, and you just have a different sense of wonder, and you look at somebody's eyes and like, hi, and you're like, hey, how are you? And it's just like you're having this very human experience instead of this transactional, like, I'm in my world, I need this stuff, you give me my stuff, and then I'll go. And then you don't think about each other, you don't see each other, you don't feel each other. It's purely transactional. But if you have a human experience, it means you feel each other on some level. That stuff happens, and then the world opens up. The world opens up. The world is very closed to those who are focused on their problems. The world is very small, and it's not fun.
Yeah. I know the feeling you're talking about, that kind of day. I do understand. I think every religion has a word for it, right? Like, insert, you know, version of spiritual enlightenment or mind-body unity. And the feeling I've had, like, as my reference point of what that feeling is I could look at anybody and feel like they're like part of me. You know what I'm saying? Like, to call it like my brother, my sister is like the cheesy way of saying it, but really feeling like they're sharing the same life experience as I am. And that's really cool. And I really love them for that. And that's the total opposite of, you know, like, feeling really judgmental or critical of people, of how they're acting or dressing or speaking or whatever. Instead of just saying, like, everyone's like, yeah, this person is going through life. You know, on my best days, that's how I view everyone. It's like, this person is going through life just like me. And that, like, really unites me with people for some reason.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I understand.
So we wish that upon you, everybody. These days, they are available to us in equal proportions as the bad days. The good or the bad, it's not circumstantial. It's completely mental and emotional and spiritual, environmental, like what's going on inside of you, right? This is the story of True Father and Hungnam. This is the story of, you know, great saints and sages like, what's his name? Assisi, Saint Francis of Assisi, his story of how he just had that enlightenment and he started to smell flowers and just feel God in every petal. And you know, this is just as available to us as having a bad day where everybody cuts you off on the highway and nobody respects you, and I'm all alone. You could have the exact same day and a world apart experience based on what you're focusing on. But you cannot, this is the big difference between religion and like self-help and that whole world, is you can't just skip from one to the other. There's work to be done to let go and to kind of liberate one way and to make peace with it. And that's by sitting with the difficult, wrestling with it, and then you will be liberated. When you figure out who you want to be, you still will have limitations. And those limitations are a gift, and you can work on them. We'll help you with that. But yeah, just don't run away. Running away is the worst thing you can do because it just delays the pain.
You gotta walk through the tunnel to get to the light.
We're going on a world tour, everybody. That's the theme of the world tour. Saturday's all about really like going into the dark tunnel together, because together it's going to be okay. And we know where the light is and we'll guide you there. And then the second day is once you've crossed into the light, what kind of life do you build? It's going to be very different than what we're used to. We're used to creating lives in the darkness because our world has been very dark. But now there's a light. And it's there for all of us, but we got to go through that tunnel, and then we have to actually start thinking about what does my life look like, and we'll help you with that. So if you're in Benji, if you're in Bay Area Family Church, May 31st, I think, or if you're in Bolivia, June 7th, or if you're in Prague, June 14th, or if you're in the Philippines, somewhere in the Philippines, the 21st of June, then please. And if you're not in those places, fly to those places. We're going to be doing brand new content and a whole new workshop as a part of our 10-year anniversary world tour. All right.
And
that was an episode.
And we're going to be posting all that on Instagram, so you can follow us there. Stay updated.
Yeah, but leave your house. Come. If you're not in the Bay Area, come to the Bay Area. If you live in Asia, go to the Philippines. If you live in Europe, go to Prague. Just take a nice train. They have luxury trains, I just found out. These beautiful luxury trains. Just sleep and be fed grapes for hours on end. All right. Thank you, everybody. Don't run away. Don't run away. Face your stuff. If you run into problems, that's where community comes in. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Talk to you.
Hey guys, there are a lot of nonprofits and fundraisers out there, but High Noon is something special, don't you think? If you want to contribute to something, if you've wanted to give back in some way, then look no further, because High Noon is your place. We're still a nonprofit, guys, and our programs and our events and workshops really run off of you. So please consider becoming a donor. Actually, no. Become a donor, please, my friend, especially if you've benefited from this podcast, which is totally free, and our programs that are totally free. Then go to highnoon.org/donate, and you can become a donor for just $10 a month, or $20 a month, or $1,000 a month, whatever your wallet can do, and whatever you want to give back and contribute. All right, become a donor, join the club, and see you.